He announced, "I finally closed that $1 million listing. Maybe I should date someone who actually appreciates ambition, not just someone who pays the bills." I smiled. "Maybe you should." Then I stopped paying for his level. The Mercedes lease he bragged about but couldn't actually afford. His LinkedIn post about self-made success fooled nobody. Original post, 36-year-old female, should have seen the red flags when Zachary Mills, 34, closed his first big deal 6 months ago. Commercial property sale, $45,000 commission. To him, he'd just conquered Wall Street. We'd been together 5 years, engaged for 8 months, living in what I thought was a partnership. See, I'm a partner at Crawford & Associates law firm. Been there 9 years, specializing in employment discrimination cases. My salary, $185,000 plus bonuses that usually push it to around $210,000. Not bragging, just context for what comes next. When we moved in together 3 years ago, Zachary was struggling through the real estate crash, making maybe $48,000 in a good year, mostly residential sales that fell through. He insisted on the luxury high-rise downtown, $3,200 a month. "Isabella, this is about our image as a power couple. Your law firm, my real estate connections. We need to look successful to be successful." Funny words from someone contributing $350 toward a $300 lease. I agreed because I loved him and believed in his potential. We split proportionally based on income. I paid $2,850, he paid $350. Made sense based on our earnings ratio. He got his dream apartment with the rooftop terrace, infinity pool, concierge, and gym he posted about constantly. Living the dream, blessed, success mindset attracts success. His Instagram was basically an apartment tour on repeat. I didn't mind supporting him. I'd been there during his rough patches, when the market crashed and he went 3 months without a single closing. I covered groceries, utilities, even his car payment during what he called his investment in building relationships phase. I watched him network at expensive industry events, always offering to pay because investing in his career was investing in our future. But the thing is, I never made him feel small about it. When my colleagues asked about our living situation, I'd say, "We're building something together." When he felt insecure about the income gap, I'd remind him that relationships aren't competitions. I thought we were a team. Then came the $1 million sale. The attitude shift was immediate and jarring. First week, "Babe, can you believe I'm finally in the big leagues? This is just the beginning. I can see my potential now." He started talking about scaling up and building wealth, terms he'd never used before. Second week, "I think I should start networking with higher caliber clients. Success attracts success. Maybe we should join that country club downtown." We couldn't afford country club membership even with his commission, but I didn't point that out. Third week, started correcting me about business strategy at dinner parties. I've been practicing employment law for 12 years, handling complex discrimination cases worth millions in settlements. He'd been a successful realtor for exactly 3 weeks. The changes weren't just about money. He started treating me differently. Where he used to ask about my cases, now he'd interrupt to share his insights about business. Where he used to appreciate my career, now he'd make comments about employee mindset versus entrepreneur vision. It was like he'd forgotten I was a partner at my firm, not an employee. The breaking point came last Thursday. We were at my firm's annual charity gala, partner-level event, $500 per plate that I paid for. The kind of sophisticated gathering where senior attorneys, judges, and business leaders discuss substantive issues. I was networking with a federal judge about recent employment law precedents when Zachary approached our group. "Isabella's being modest about our success," he interjected, putting his arm around me possessively. "We're doing very well for ourselves." The judge raised an eyebrow at the interruption, but remained polite. Someone asked about our engagement timeline. "Oh, we're taking our time," Zachary said, launching into what sounded like a rehearsed speech. "I want to make sure I can provide the lifestyle Isabella deserves. Now that my career's really taking off, we can start planning the wedding we both want. Location, location, location? Applies to life decisions too. My colleague Victoria, another partner, looked confused. That's sweet. The apartment you two have is gorgeous. Isabella showed us photos. Zachary's chest puffed up visibly. When you're building wealth in real estate, you learn to invest in quality. I've always believed in living at your aspiration level, not your current level. I felt my face burn. The federal judge excused himself. Victoria shot me a concerned look that said everything. Your fiancé just implied he's funding your lifestyle in front of the people you work with every day. Later in the Uber home, that I paid for because I always paid for our transportation, I brought it up carefully. Interesting how you talked about providing my lifestyle tonight. What do you mean? His tone was already defensive. You implied you're paying for it. He turned to me with this look. This dismissive, condescending look I'd never seen before, like I was being unreasonable for questioning his narrative. Isabella, I just closed $1 million deal. I'm building something real here. Building wealth, creating opportunities. Right, but I pay 89% of our rent. God, you always make it about the money. This is why women struggle in business leadership. No vision beyond the immediate. I stared at him. What? He sighed dramatically, like he was explaining something obvious to a child. I finally closed that $1 million listing. Maybe I should date someone who actually appreciates ambition, not just someone who pays the bills. Someone who understands entrepreneurial spirit instead of just collecting a steady salary. The words hung in the air between us. 5 years of relationship, 8 months of engagement, and he'd just reduced me to a bill payer who lacked vision. Zachary, I make almost triple your annual income, even with your commission. It's not about the numbers, Isabella. It's about mindset, growth potential, vision. You're comfortable being an employee. I'm building an empire. The senior partners at your firm didn't get there by playing it safe like you do. My firm's senior partners built their careers over decades of complex litigation. See? Employee mentality. I'm thinking bigger picture, strategic wealth building. The conversation continued spiraling. Maybe we've grown in different directions. Maybe I need someone more aligned with where I'm going. I looked at him for a long moment. This man I'd supported through 2 years of barely making rent, who I'd covered groceries for during his building my client base phase, who lived in an apartment he couldn't afford without me. Maybe you should. What? Date someone aligned with where you're going. Maybe you should. He smiled, thinking he'd won something. I'm glad you finally understand. That was Thursday at 11:47 p.m. By Friday at 9:00 a.m., I'd already been to the leasing office. Friday morning, I was waiting when the leasing office opened. Monica, the property manager, knew me well. I'd been handling everything since day one because Zachary's credit couldn't qualify for a luxury lease. Isabella, what can I do for you? I need to discuss removing an authorized occupant and lease termination options. She pulled up our paperwork. As I knew, only my name was on the lease. Zachary was listed as authorized occupant, not leaseholder. Why? Because when we moved in, his credit score was 590. Mine was 795. The income requirements alone would have disqualified him. You need to earn 3 times the monthly rent, and $9,600 monthly was beyond his reach even in good months. Is everything okay? Monica asked, genuine concern in her voice. Relationship ending. What are my options? Here's what I learned. 60-day notice required for termination. Could remove authorized occupant immediately with proper documentation. Early termination fee, 2 months rent, $6,400. Actually, Monica said, checking her computer, your lease renewal is due in 6 weeks. We sent the notice last month. Perfect timing. I declined renewal on the spot. What if Zachary wants to take over the lease independently? Monica pulled up requirements. Income requirement, 3 times rent, so $9,600 monthly gross. Credit score minimum, 720. Even with his recent commission, Zachary made roughly $5,400 monthly in a good year. Credit score still hovering around 620. He wouldn't qualify. not without a substantial cosigner making significantly more than he did. I thanked Monica and left. Phase 1 complete. That afternoon, while Zachary was showing properties and posting Instagram stories about closing deals and building my empire, I apartment hunted. Found a beautiful one-bedroom condo for $1,650. Still downtown, still modern, still professional. Just without the Instagram-worthy amenities he needed for his image. The place was perfect for my actual needs. Home office space for case files, quiet environment for legal research, reasonable commute to the courthouse. I didn't need a rooftop pool I never used, or a concierge for packages I rarely ordered. I put down a deposit for move-in after the lease expired. Zachary came home that night acting like nothing had happened. Started talking about some networking event he'd crushed. The developer said I have the vision to handle their premium listings. He's considering me for exclusive representation on his next project. That's great, I said, already mentally packing my law books. He kept his distance all weekend, sleeping in the guest room, but maintaining this air of superiority. Posted LinkedIn content about surrounding yourself with ambitious people and recognizing when relationships serve your growth versus holding you back. One post read, "Sometimes you outgrow people who are comfortable with the status quo. Growth requires difficult decisions." #entrepreneurial mindset, start next level. His Instagram stories showed him at expensive restaurants I'd never been to, apparently funded by his commission windfall. Celebrating success with people who understand the vision. He captioned a photo of himself at a steakhouse downtown. Monday rolled around. Time for phase 2. Monday morning, I worked from home. Zachary left for the office in his leased Mercedes, kissing my cheek like we were fine, like he hadn't just told me I was an unambitious bill payer 3 days earlier. I started with the utilities. Electric bill, my account. Canceled autopay, scheduled disconnection notice for 60 days. Internet service, my account. Scheduled disconnection for lease end date. All streaming services registered under my email, removed his profiles, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, even the premium Spotify account, all gone. Gym membership at the luxury fitness center downstairs. Removed him as my guest. That saved me $75,000 monthly. Then came the bigger stuff. Zachary had an image to maintain. The successful realtor, the luxury lifestyle, the "I'm building wealth" brand he'd crafted over 3 weeks of success. But his actual finances told a different story. His Mercedes lease, under my credit because his couldn't qualify for luxury vehicle financing. Payment $485 monthly that I'd been covering as part of our shared expenses. The reasoning was that he needed reliable transportation for client meetings, and investing in his success was investing in our future. Called Mercedes Financial. Couldn't break lease without massive penalties, but I removed my autopay authorization. Payment now due directly from his account. His corporate credit card application was still pending. His new brokerage was small and slow with approvals. He'd been using my American Express for client dinners, promising to reimburse me from his commissions that came in 60 to 90 days after closing. Cut off his authorized user access immediately. Around 2:30 p.m., got my first text. "Zachary, my card got declined at lunch with the developer client. This is embarrassing. What's wrong with your Amex?" Me, "Must be a fraud alert. Try your debit card." "This is a $200 lunch with my biggest potential client. I can't look unprofessional." "Remember Thursday? You said you needed someone who appreciates ambition. I'm giving you space to find that." Are you seriously being this petty over one argument? Petty? I'm helping you live at your actual level. Your level, not the one I've been subsidizing. He called 14 times. I didn't answer. That evening, he came home furious. "You humiliated me in front of a potential client." "How?" "By not paying for your business lunch. You know my corporate card isn't approved yet. I had to tell him I was having account issues." "Then maybe don't take clients to places you can't afford on your own." "This is financial abuse." "No, this is financial independence. Congratulations." "You wanted someone who appreciates ambition? I'm letting you demonstrate yours independently." He stood there speechless. The apartment lease is in my name. You're welcome to stay as my guest for the next 6 weeks. After that, I'm moving out. You can apply to take over if you qualify. 6 weeks? Isabella, stop being ridiculous. We can work through this. Work through you telling me I lack entrepreneurial spirit? I was frustrated about my career momentum. I didn't mean it. Which part didn't you mean? The part where you told everyone you provide my lifestyle, or the part where I'm just an unambitious employee? He switched tactics. Tears. Baby, please, I love you. The success went to my head for a minute. What do I do for work, Zachary? You're a lawyer. What kind of law? Silence. What was my biggest case last year? More silence. You've never once asked about my work in 5 years. You don't know I specialize in employment discrimination. You don't know I just won a $2.3 million settlement for a class action case. You never asked because you never cared when I talked about work. I care about your work. Name one case I've mentioned. There was that thing with the company. What company? He couldn't answer. I walked to my home office and locked the door. He spent the night on calls with friends, loudly complaining about his controlling fiancé who can't handle his success. Tuesday through Thursday was a masterclass in delusion. Zachary went full social media mode. LinkedIn. Sometimes your growth intimidates people who are comfortable with the status quo. Choose ambition anyway. Entrepreneurship, # growth. Next level. Instagram, major life changes ahead. When you level up personally and professionally, not everyone can come with you. Grateful for this clarity. Self-made, # new chapter. Facebook. Looking for referrals for luxury apartments. Ready to upgrade to match my success level. High-rise preferred, downtown area. Budget flexible for the right property. The comments were fascinating. His realtor friends hyping him up, having no idea he was about to be homeless. Meanwhile, reality was setting in hard. Wednesday, Mercedes Financial called me directly. Ma'am, the authorized user called upset about a missed payment. No missed payment on my end. The authorized user should handle payments directly now. But he says there's been a mistake with the account setup. No mistake. He can maintain the payments or return the vehicle. Thursday morning at 7:15 a.m., Zachary was on the phone with his mother, loud enough for me to hear through the door. Mom, she's lost her mind. She's trying to kick me out over nothing. No, the apartment is in her name, but I bring in good money now, 6 figures when you include my commission. I can't afford $3,200 by myself, but that's not the point. It's about respect. No, Mom, I'm not moving back home at 34. I have a reputation to maintain. After he left for work, his mother Dorothy called me. Isabella, honey, what's going on? Zachary says you've changed completely. Mrs. Mills, he told me he needed someone who appreciates ambition. You know how excited he gets about work success. He told his colleagues and my professional contacts that he provides my lifestyle. He said what? Ask him about the charity gala last week. Isabella, you're being harsh. You know he's finally doing well. I'm happy he's doing well. I just won't subsidize someone who thinks I lack vision and ambition. But you make so much more than he does. This apartment probably doesn't even impact your budget. Exactly, Mrs. Mills. So why does he think he can do better than someone who's been supporting his dreams for 5 years? Silence. How much do you think I make? Zachary said maybe $90,000. I made $10,000 last year. Oh my God. He implied he makes more than you now. He says a lot of things that aren't true. That night, Zachary came home with apartment printouts. Look, I found places we can both afford. They were all $20,800 plus monthly. Zachary, I already signed a lease. For where? I told him about the 1-bedroom condo. That's a regular building. No amenities. Yes, it's called living within your means. But what about our image? Our networking opportunities? The rooftop events? Your image. You mean the one you've been taking credit for while I pay the bills? Isabella, please. I'll tell everyone the truth. I'll post a correction on LinkedIn. It's too late for that. Why are you being so stubborn about this? Because you didn't just insult my career, Zachary. You revealed that you see me as a bank account with no vision who's been holding you back from your true potential. That's not true. Then why did you assume you could afford this place alone after one good month? I thought we'd figure it out together. You thought I'd keep paying while you found someone on your level. He stared at me, and for the first time, I saw it hit him, the actual situation. You're really leaving in 4 weeks. Week 2 was panic time. Zachary had toured apartments. Reality check, everything in his Instagram-worthy range required income he didn't have consistently or credit he'd destroyed years ago. The nice 2,500 places required first, last, and security deposit. That's $7,500 upfront. His savings account had $2,100 after his commission splurge. The 2,000er places were 45 minutes from downtown. His client base was all urban professionals who expected quick response times. Without reliable transportation, showing properties would become logistically impossible. The 1,500 places were studios in questionable neighborhoods. Isabella, these places are unsafe for a professional. How would I bring clients here? Then keep the Mercedes payment current and live further out. I can't afford $485 a month for the car. Then return it and take the credit hit. How would I show properties to high-end clients? Public transportation. The look of horror was Oscar-worthy. But the real entertainment came from his office. His colleague Drew had been invited for drinks Friday night to see the penthouse lifestyle Zachary posted about constantly. Zachary panicked, tried to redirect. Let's go out instead, man. I know this great rooftop bar. No way. I want to see this place you're always showing off. Your Instagram makes it look incredible. Drew wasn't stupid. Where's all Isabella's stuff? Half my belongings were boxed in the office. She's redecorating. You know how women are about interior design. Cool. So you're keeping this place after the wedding? Zachary's laugh was strained. We're evaluating our housing strategy post-engagement. But you can afford it solo, right? I mean, you said that commission set you up for life. Of course, just deciding if I want to stay. You know, emotional attachment to spaces can cloud business judgment. Monday, the narrative changed completely. LinkedIn post. Choosing intentional living over excess. As I enter this new chapter, I'm prioritizing authentic relationships over material displays. Sometimes the most successful people live below their means. Minimalist mindset. Authentic. Success had growth over glitter. Comments were concerned. But your apartment posts were goals. Are you okay, Zach? This seems like a sudden philosophy change. One particularly brutal comment from a former colleague. Interesting timing with Isabella's apartment hunting posts. Good luck with the intentional downsizing. He deleted the post within 2 hours. Then came the luxury rental agent consultation. He contacted Preston, who specialized in 3,000 or plus properties. The guy came for what he expected to be a high-end consultation. So, Mr. Mills, with your stated annual income of $70,000, you're looking at maximum approval of roughly $1,900 monthly. But I pay $3,200 now. Are you the primary leaseholder? Preston spotted our lease documents on the counter. This shows Isabella Cruz as the sole lessee. She's moving out. I need something equivalent in quality and location. I see. And your credit score? It's improving significantly. I'll need a specific number for luxury properties. Around 640. Preston's professional smile wavered. That significantly limits options. Most luxury buildings require 720 minimum. But I just closed a $1 million commercial deal. Congratulations on your success. Unfortunately, landlords evaluate consistent monthly income and creditworthiness, not one-time commissions. Preston left his card and essentially fled. 3 weeks in, Zachary's carefully constructed image was crumbling publicly. Started with the car. He'd missed the Mercedes payment. They called his office at 2 p.m. at his desk in his open-plan real estate office. No, there's been a mistake. I can definitely cover that. Let me call you back. Everyone heard. Then came the client dinner disaster. He'd been floating expensive client meals for weeks, expecting commission reimbursements that were slower than anticipated. Without my Amex backup, he had to tell his developer client he couldn't cover the $300 steakhouse dinner. What do you mean you can't temporarily cover it? My business card processing is delayed. Zachary, successful agents can handle basic client entertainment without hesitation. He had to admit he was temporarily cash-strapped. The client's expression changed entirely. But the killing blow came from LinkedIn again. Remember his intentional living post? Drew, his colleague, commented publicly. "Funny, I remember when you were intentional about that luxury lifestyle just last month, right before your card declined at the team happy hour." Zachary called me sobbing. "Please make them delete that comment. My professional reputation is destroyed. I don't control your colleagues' social media activity. You told them to write that. I haven't spoken to anyone at your office. Your reputation is reflecting your actual situation. Please, Isabella, I'll do anything. Then find somewhere you can actually afford." That night, full seduction attempt. Expensive lingerie I'd bought him for Valentine's Day, candles, wine I'd purchased. "I miss us," he whispered, trying to pull me close. "Stop. Don't you miss what we had? We were perfect together." "Were we? Or was I just perfect at financing your image while you took credit?" He recoiled like I'd slapped him. "How can you say that? 5 years, Isabella. 5 years together. 5 years where you contributed what exactly, besides criticism of my lack of vision? I loved you. You loved my lifestyle. There's a difference." "That's unnecessarily cruel." "Okay, tell me about my biggest case last year." Silence. "Tell me what area of law I specialize in." "Corporate? Litigation? Employment discrimination? Tell me my middle name." "It's Maria." "It's Rose. We've been together 5 years, engaged for 8 months. You never asked because you never cared about me as a person. You cared about the apartment, the lifestyle, the image I provided. You're right. I don't know those things, but you're being vindictive and cold. I'm neither. I'm just done subsidizing someone who sees me as an ATM with no entrepreneurial vision." Finally, 5 days before move-out, he found a place. Studio apartment, $1,350 monthly, 35 minutes from downtown, street parking, no amenities. "It's horrible, Isabella. There's barely room for my suits. How do I maintain professional image?" "It sounds perfect for your actual income level." "Stop saying that. You said it first about me. I'm just agreeing with your assessment." The Mercedes went back to the dealer. Voluntary repossession. His credit score plummeted further. He takes the bus to show million-dollar properties now. Moving day came and went. Zachary scraped together enough for his studio, borrowing $300 from his parents for deposits. His LinkedIn transformation was pathetic. Embracing minimalist living has been transformative. My sustainable lifestyle reflects my values of authenticity over materialism. Sometimes success isn't measured in square footage, but in personal growth. #authentic, #minimalist. Success real growth. Comments were brutal. "Didn't you just post about luxury mindset 6 months ago?" "Is this the same apartment from your success stories?" His broker commented. "Glad to see you're adjusting your lifestyle to match your actual income, Zachary." But Drew delivered the killing blow. "Hey, Zach, saw your minimalist post. Remember when you said people in studios lack vision and ambition? Growth indeed." He deleted his entire LinkedIn profile. Meanwhile, I'm in my beautiful one-bedroom, which costs $1,550 less monthly than the showpiece. Dating Gabriel, a federal prosecutor who makes $145,000 and insisted on splitting our second date. He knows exactly what I do for work and asks intelligent questions about employment law precedent. Refreshing. Got one final text from an unknown number. "I threw away the best thing in my life for my ego. I'm miserable. I miss us." I didn't respond. There's no us. There never was. There was him, his image, and my bank account. You wanted someone who appreciates ambition, Zachary? Congratulations. You're dating yourself now at your actual level.